It is season 2, episode 6. And I am here, me, Taylor Hart. I forgot about that part already. From Respect My Region. I'm just too excited because it is Lil T here talking with Mama T today. And we are so thrilled to have you here because Mama T is a very near and dear friend to the RMR team and has been around for years and years. So this is really just like a catching up conversation between the two of us. So thank you for
Thank
joining
you for
us so
having me.
much.
Thank you. I'm so happy to be here. You humble me just even wanting to know what I'm up to. I'm grateful to be here, Taylor. So good to see
Well,
you.
yes, that's the other thing is we literally haven't seen each other in years. So just seeing your face, I could already feel your energy when we booked you for the podcast. I was like, I need this. I need one of your hugs so
Oh,
badly. Let me tell you, people, her hugs are magical. And there's the energy that you always have brought has always been so amazing. And it's people like you in the industry that keep that community feeling of it. And so, it's catching up with friends, not even like just industry people or people we've worked with in the past. It's friendship, and that's what is so truly amazing about it.
it
So
is. I've never worked in an industry before where forming these kinds of relationships actually led to the kind of business that it's led to. This is a very
right.
unique situation. And it's actually my pleasure to be sitting here, circling back to you guys who introduced me to everybody.
Yeah.
Literally everyone I know right now is because you guys popped your head in the door and said, "Hey, let's do some stuff."
Yeah, that was years and years ago. And we always like a lot of it is repping Seattle out here, obviously, because Seattle's one of the major cities. But one of the other major cities is Tacoma.
Yeah.
And Tacoma, I feel like, has had such a special place in our relationship with you and everything, because that's where a lot of our events were centered around. A lot of in the beginning of it all was
Well,
around that, and you helping us set the vibe of our events and the atmosphere of it. So
well,
to now, yeah,
it's funny to me because I was doing just a soft open with this big dream that I had about I'm
yeah,
going to have cannabis industry events. I'm just going to go meet everybody. And on my very first evening, it was RMR who just peeked their head in the door and said, "Hey, can we put a flyer up in your window?" I'm like, "Yeah, who are you?" And then they all came in and I said, "Well, you work with music and marijuana. Well, you might want to go upstairs and check out what I've got going on." And it was literally that night that Joey came down and I met half your crew that night, and it just sort of snowballed from there. It was everything I ever could have wanted on my first opening day.
yeah. And you have turned that into such an amazing community and group of people. I feel like that have centered around your energy, honestly. You asserted yourself in the most humbling and beautiful way, but
Oh,
you said, I am here.
yes, ma'am.
Yeah.
I did
And
say
that's
that a
again,
couple times, I think, even.
yes.
You
And
have to
there's
say you're here if you want to get people to listen to you, but you also have to say it in the most loving, kind, and generous way, or they just don't have any time for you. So you have to have a good balance of that. But in the cannabis industry, Taylor, I have to say I've worked in a lot of different industries, from real estate to being a stockbroker to working in a casino bar industry. And quite frankly, I have never had so much opportunity as I've had in this industry. Cannabis has, you know, um, for a woman, and you know
yeah.
this, it can be very difficult to be heard. And yet I feel like I've spent very little time having to try hard to be heard. It really has opened up a bunch of doors that I never thought imaginable.
That it brings tears to my eyes. Like
Yeah,
like it's a very emotional thing, but
it is.
I've had a lot of that, in the industries that I've gone into. Thankfully, I've been lucky enough to move into the music and cannabis space at a very young age and just be able to have, the start of my career start here in things that I'm so passionate about. And it's one of the places that I felt the most at home and the most, you know, uh, I don't know, just nobody questions anything, and I just feel like I fit. And so hearing that, from other people as well, especially
Yeah.
women in the industry, it is just like it's a really good feeling.
Super refreshing. It's super refreshing to see all
Hmm.
the opportunity that's out there. If you just, if you go about it the right way and you treat people with respect, you'll get a long way in this cannabis world.
100%, 100%. And so now you have made many paths in the industry for yourself now. So let's talk a little bit about the daily grind puff and chill.
Right. What
Yes.
what a fun project that was.
Yeah.
Is, I should say. It's not really so much a project anymore because we have such a solid team up there. But when I went into that, it was in the middle of a nasty litigation.
Yeah.
So it was to help the owner take back his business, basically. And my boss, Curtis Dong, who owns Puff and Chill, and also
Mhm.
another company, a couple of companies that I run for him, but he literally gave me, I'd say, the keys to the kingdom. He
Wow.
hired me to do a job. He gave me a contract. He allowed me to do it my way and build this amazing team. Um, my crew at Puff and Chill is truly a family, and they are just firing on all cylinders. It runs itself now, Taylor. I get to go and build the boss's empire in all these different ways because that crew. I left town for 19 days and didn't have a problem at the store. So there you go.
That's incredible. That's
I was,
incredible in any retail space, but cannabis retail,
yeah.
that is next level. That
Well,
is,
I have this young lady, Amara, and you know how I love to support women that are go-getters.
yes.
Amara is my store manager, and she is an absolute dynamo. I was able to teach her everything. She absorbed it all, and she's 24 years old,
Wow.
running a $2.5 million store and doing all the buying on a budget that would make most people poke their eye out. Really, I don't even know. Frankly, I don't know how she does it. With the
Yeah.
little money that I give her so that I can pay taxes, this young lady has developed a wonderful relationship with all of our vendors, and I'm just so proud of her. I just had to give her a little shout out. She's amazing.
Yeah, that's amazing. And a little snippet of what you said right there. You said, I give her a little bit of money so that I can pay taxes. And that's
Mm.
such a huge issue right now, is that the profit margin in this industry is absolutely ridiculous.
There is none. There
There,
is no.
exactly.
And now Puff and Chill is located on the Green Mile. So I
Hmm.
have two dispensaries directly across the street and another 13 in a mile radius of us.
Right,
So trying to compete with that, you can only do it with margins and your relationships with your vendors. Because if you establish the proper relationship with them and you don't ask them to give you special treatment or not sell to the other guy, but you bring their product in and sell it for them. Don't put 10 products next to their product, right?
right,
Make sure their product sells, establish the relationship, and then they start bringing you exclusive things that they're not running around trying to sell to everybody else.
right.
So it took a little minute, but
Yeah.
to do it properly and establish the respect you need with your vendors, you have to wait it out.
Yeah. But it does come down to the team in the store, you
It does.
know? The bud tenders make the sale every time. Like the weed sells itself, but with especially like my experience in my store, my team were same. We're a bunch of rock stars, lots of industry experience, we're thirsty and hungry for it, and we all know our shit.
Yeah.
And we won't tell our customers something just to sell the product. If we wouldn't smoke it ourselves, we're not going to sell it. And that is such a, having that special community in the store, a good team morale, everything like that helps to drive those sales and make your store so much more successful. So hearing that you left for 19 days and didn't even have to worry about it, and just like, it's going to be fine and it's still going to be going,
Not a,
that
not a
is
glitch. Not a glitch. I'm just so proud of them. And, that's what happens though when you teach people front to back what you're doing and why you're doing it. They understand the taxes. They understand every bill we pay. They are allowed to, they learned the entire process front to back so that they know what to root for.
right.
You know, yeah. Otherwise, they think you're making money hand over fist. And
Hmm.
where's it all going? But the more you teach those guys, the more they understand what to do next. And they're watching those discounts now. They're understanding that every time they give away $1, it costs money.
Yeah,
But yeah,
absolutely.
you ask
You
any of the vendors in Lynnwood, they will tell you that Puff and Chill, they make it their last stop of the day just to get our energy, just to get our crew's love and energy. And it's their favorite stop, and they get the best industry discount, and they love it there.
that's it's so crucial, especially at a time where commercialization's on the horizon, federal legalize or descheduling or whatever they end up doing, that's on the horizon. And so the craft aspect of it, the community aspect of it, the ethical nature of things is really at a weird place where it could go downhill very quickly.
We
We're
have to
already
watch the way
seeing
we do business. We have to
yeah,
conduct business a certain way and show them that we're here to actually bring prosperity, peace, and wellness.
yeah.
Any nonsense.
Yeah, wellness is really going to be the big major mainstream market hitter. I feel like it
Yes.
that's really where the industry is going to take its big chunk, is in wellness, with the recreational still being, part of it. But more often than not, it's the people coming in for therapeutics, for, something just to make their lives easier, and the industry is making our lives harder right now.
It is, and I look at cannabis as a person who was on big pharma and dealt with
Right.
addiction for so many years. I look at cannabis almost like I look at water and food.
Yeah.
We all have to do certain things to sustain ourselves and create a balance in our body and in our mind. And sometimes it's food, and sometimes it's water, and sometimes it's cannabis. But if we have to make a choice, we all know cannabis is the healthier choice. And
Yeah.
we're proving that every day, getting people off some of these hard drugs.
100%. I know that there's definitely a couple of products in my store that I have helped sell people and help them through a lot of those things. And it's honestly one of the most gratifying things. I have some regulars who I have served for 4 years now, and I have seen their whole journey transition from coming in just being like, hey, can I get like a gram of indica, to now
Mhm.
coming in being like, oh, I need this product, that product for this, that, and the other.
Better than
Um,
money, right? I mean, seeing somebody get well like that is better than a paycheck.
yeah, yeah. And so I know that Puff and Chill is medically endorsed.
Yes.
What are some of your favorite products that you guys have on the shelf? What are some of your favorite go-tos?
I'm a big flower smoker, so I
Hmm.
tend to mess with the flower mostly. But what I notice in my store is that we are such a high CBD store. We have a ton of folks that shop there for the high CBD vape cartridges. The polite tinctures do really well there.
Love
Very
the light.
One of the few stores you'll find where in the back room it's like a pharmacy. Our
Hmm.
customers have bags of particular product that are saved for them, that we order special for them because it is truly their medicine.
Yes.
A lot of the drippers, the CBD oil drippers, of course, do really well there. But I have, for us, topicals, tinctures, and CBD products do more than you would anticipate in a rec store for sure.
That's amazing. I know we have a lot of our patients at my store as well that we have those certain products that we just know we have to have that for them.
Mhm.
They have to
Yeah.
get this all the time. So to hear that you guys like store that and keep
Yeah.
it, and it just brings me back to the medical era too, because that was, you were looking out for those people, you know, you're taking care of them. And it's so important when there's so few medically oriented shops right now.
Yeah.
And like we were just saying, it's going to be such a big chunk of this industry as a
Well, and if
whole.
we get noticed for all the right reasons,
Yeah,
we definitely have to put wellness in the forefront. That's something everybody can relate to. Sleeping better, feeling better about anxiety and depression and pain,
yeah.
and not having to take a pill for it. That's something I think most people can get on board with.
100%, yeah. And so with that, with a lot of these patients, you know, even with their medical card, they're still limited to only being able to pick up a certain amount or like a certain milligram amount as well. I know a lot of my patients, you know, they don't get enough milligrams. They have to buy a lot of like RSO to amp things up, but they can only take things through a certain delivery method sometimes because of whatever reason.
Right.
And so, you know, in Washington State, especially, we have really, really restrictive laws about how many milligrams can be. It can only be 10 milligrams of THC in one edible and only
Right.
10 of those in a pack. You know,
Right.
some people take, like myself, I can take 50, 100 milligrams of
Me too.
THC. And some of like, I've had some dental work done lately to where I get home, I chug 100 milligrams, and then
Yep.
once that kicks in and I feel comfortable, I'm like, okay. And then I start sipping on another 100 milligrams because I
Yep.
know in just a few hours it's going to be gone. But for
Right.
some people, like thankfully I have a nice discount at work,
Yeah, for
but some
sure.
people can't afford that.
Right.
So I just want to hear some of your thoughts on how we could restructure the laws, restructure the way that, you know, how edibles may be packaged, or like, what do you hope to see in the future as far as them being able to pick up their medicine in
Well,
a better way?
it's super important that people get educated about what these products are.
Mm-hmm.
Up until the point where we can explain the RSO in a way that people understand it, I believe that's our real medicine right there. So, what I would love to see is and obviously, RSO is not for eating. You're not allowed to advertise it to
Right.
be consumed. And yet, I have personally seen people get healed with RSO from cancer, colon cancer with RSO suppositories, uh, eating RSO for stomach cancer.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, Personally, getting over addiction, I was saved by a bud tender because I was buying $100 worth of edibles just to get through maybe a couple, 2, 3 days. And finally, this bartender said, how much of these are you eating at a time? I'm like, all of them, like one box at a time. He said, hang on, I'm about to change your life. And he did. So I believe that we need to ease up on the government telling us how to consume the things we're consuming. It's bad enough that we're regulated to the point where we're packaging it a certain way, and that's fine. Okay, package, childproof, all of those things. But at some point, we need to allow these bud tenders some freedom to educate and talk about these things without the concern or worry that they're going to get in trouble for giving the advice. So I
Right.
think we start there. I think we start with education and the ability to do with these products what makes the best sense for us.
Yeah. 100%. I agree with that entirely.
I mean, how else do we do it? And then the other thing, the law needs to be open about is the fact that if they don't look at the current state of our tax situation in cannabis, I can't stress enough that I know they won't repeal something that they've already gotten from us. But a
Right.
47% hit on a retailer that has competition coming from all angles is
Yeah.
something that they've set the table for people to fail if they can't keep up that pace.
Right.
So just a review or some sort of ability to spread out that tax throughout the industry might be somewhat helpful.
Yeah. I was just reading and editing actually an article for RMR that was published about Connecticut and how they're just starting their legalization, and they're have like Washington had a lottery to get licenses. They're doing the same kind of lottery thing. But what was so interesting about this is that they've raised over $8 million from the fees to go into to apply to be in the lottery, right?
Wow.
So where is that money going?
Yeah.
What
Where
are they using that money for? And that, I would like to know what Washington's doing with all the money that they've accrued, and where is that being redispersed to?
well,
Colorado has been very open about theirs, a lot of it, I should say, about redistributing that. So, you
there
know.
there is some stuff on the books about you have to dig for it.
Mhm.
But of course, I try to spend as much time with the guys over at Cultiva Law as I can because they've
Yes.
always got my back and they always save my bacon. And so, with their help, I was able to surmise that there's a bunch of different dedicated funds that are sitting there, Taylor, right now, cannabis funds where money's funneling in certain things like detox centers that can be built in cities that participate in cannabis. There are funds for that. There's all kinds of dedicated funds if you do digging and public record search. But yeah, I would like to know why Washington has a $15 billion surplus and we still have a homeless problem and tents on the street, right? I mean, how is that? I just left New York. I didn't see one tent on the street out there, and I'm quite certain that they have the same drug and alcohol issues tormenting them as well. I would love to know what Washington State is doing with all this cannabis money.
Yeah.
Account, please. Account, please.
Yes, please. That is one of the things I love about you is that you are going to get to the bottom of it. You're not going to take
Or die trying, baby.
no nothing. You're like, what's really happening here? And so that's amazing to hear because that's something that I haven't dug into yet, even though I've been a part of the industry and I've always wondered about it. I haven't taken the time or had the direction or the resources in order to find that. And that's sad to me that as just like a general citizen in my city that I would have to do some digging and that I would have to look into it or like know where to go to find it. It should be something that I could just like Google easily. You know what I mean?
Well,
And
we usually only do what we kind of need to do in the moment, right? Because
yeah,
we're busy 24/7 trying to keep up. So I'll
yeah.
I'll tell you that the reason I even stumbled across that information is we know those out there that need to be lifted. And we're in the process of trying to do just that in an area that's ripe and ready for cannabis to be brought in. And in doing that, you have to go and sit at the city council meetings and sit for the hours and listen to the community discuss what they need. And each and every time you do that, you hear the same things. We have a drug problem and we have a homeless problem. And my thought is, well, we can solve that problem. We
Yep.
can literally solve that problem because we know that these opioid related deaths are reduced by about 24% in cannabis counties that have two or more dispensaries available. That's just facts written down. I mean, we know that that's actually happening. If
Mhm.
we take that with the ability to dig into maybe a Washington state dedicated fund towards opening a detox center, and then we maybe look at cannabis, and this would be my favorite law to change, look at cannabis as an exit drug, as the opportunity to get off the hard drugs, then we'll go ahead and take this person on as, I know you don't want to deal with them, but we will, okay? Because cannabis accepts everybody. And we'll start them off as reinventing themselves as a trimmer. They start there, whatever you want to start doing. Get
Mhm.
yourself off the street, get cleaned up, see how cannabis can affect you in a positive way, and then find a job in an industry that accepts you as you are. Pretty good plan. You
That's
think?
a pretty good plan.
I mean, it seems really easy when I say that, right?
Yeah.
But I'm
Well, I've personally seen a lot of people who have done just that because the cannabis industry was the only industry that would hire them with their priors, you know? Because a lot of these people have unjust cannabis records, you know, criminal records because of cannabis.
and
So,
cannabis awarded jobs to an entire subculture of people that were deemed unworthy because
mhm.
they smoked marijuana. So, in my opinion, we solved a big ass problem, right? I mean, people who smoke weed have the opportunity to work anywhere in this industry
Yeah,
without judgment.
right.
Not a lot of unemployment in the weed world.
Yeah. Well, and especially once we start to look at hemp as resources and replacing a lot of what we use that is chemically toxic, you know, in a lot of our daily lives can be replaced with hemp derived products. And once we start looking at that, and a lot of these people are worried about their jobs being taken away, but if they just accept cannabis and hemp cultivation as a normal aspect of life, like it was in the beginning of America. You know, hemp has been grown on this land before. So the fact that it's not accepted today as agriculture is crazy to me. So once the general public like gets that and then gets into the industry, I mean, they still have a job, and not only that, but they'll have a more successful job leading into the future because the
Right.
future of our earth is taking care of it and not harming it anymore. So once they make that shift, it's just the floodgates will open, and
It
it's
does. It
yeah,
does if you want it. And, as long as your heart is in it and you're committed to living this culture, this lifestyle, it's so easy.
yeah,
It's so accepting and there's so much love in it. I
yeah.
mean, I have never had so much fun in my whole life doing work
I
ever.
love that. I
Yeah,
love
it's just a blast.
And it takes you places. You
Oh boy.
said you were in New York. I've seen you post in other places as well. What has it been like exploring these other states and their industries? Because it's a lot of different little industries and pockets right now.
You can't imagine how different it is from state to state. I was shocked in New York to see tables on the street selling pot where I just set up a table. You want to buy some pot? Like, wait, what? The cannabis store that doesn't have an actual license, but they're operating anyway. No big deal. And then you go to the smoke shop and they sell pot in there too, which I guess is just no big deal. And then you go down to the South where we spent some time and they'll still arrest you for having it in your trunk. So it was shocking and eye-opening. But with states going medical now, it's like I told Curtis, my boss, I said, we're a little behind in Washington. Washington's so mature and so grown up, and they have dialed in all their processes that some of the stuff Curtis and I are involved in with hardware and vape cart filling services is
Yeah,
a little behind here. So I said, let's expand a bit to markets that actually need our help, that are looking for people with experience and the ability to get them these machines and this hardware at a reasonable price. And that's actually working, you know,
brilliant.
branching out. Yeah, that way it'll feed the beast to help us grow in Washington. But in the meantime, we need to create some revenue streams that are in areas that desperately need our help.
Yeah. And I think it's so important to take the knowledge that we have from our mature market and help other states
Amen.
create that foundation. And hopefully continue to innovate the industry to be better and better and better, you know, but that doesn't happen if you don't have that base foundation. So it's incredibly important, I feel like, to help these other states get started, because at the end of the day, again, it's very, I hope that it'll stay a very friendly industry and that people will stop, you know, keeping all of these secretive processes
Right.
and you know, because nobody is going to have a good time in this industry if it's just all fighting, and it's going to
If it's up to us, we're
harm
going to
things.
break that cycle of nonsense.
Right.
We're coming into these states with an incredibly open heart and open with our contacts. I actually had a guy in New Jersey ask me yesterday, and I laughed. He said, "Okay, Mama T, you've given me this guy's name, this guy's name. You're doing all this stuff. Can I please ask you what do you want?" Where's the shoe going to fall? And I just started laughing and I said, coming into a brand new market, brand new people in New Jersey, if I don't build something strong from within, where you have the access to all the things that make you successful, then what good is any of it? I mean, truly. So let's get something going.
Yeah,
Let's talk to each other. Let's give each other our contacts and
yeah,
let's trust each other that we can actually make a difference. That we can
yeah,
do this right. Yeah. It's work.
yes.
It works sometimes, Taylor. It did.
I love to hear it. And
Yeah.
I know you've had a couple of events and stuff where you have provided opportunities to discuss things like that, like your the Wix wax, and what was the third one?
Wix, wax, and weed.
Oh, duh! For your 420 one love.
Yes,
Um,
ma'am.
yes, let's talk about that,
Let's
and
do
because
because
that is beautiful.
you guys that respect my region are definitely directly responsible for the birth of 421 Love. When I was brand new to the industry and met y'all, Joey Bravo, brought up to me that there was a huge recycling problem and that for a green industry to allow all this waste was wrong. And if I ever wanted to do something great, I should start with that. And it took me 4 years to get to a level where people actually wanted to talk about it. They would just go, oh, yeah, whatever. I even had people literally say, yeah, that's stupid. I just no. Okay, yeah, okay. So I finally get a boss like Curtis who hears me say this and goes, oh, that's a great idea. So what we did was we started a drop-off point at Puff and Chill. We wanted to kind of create more foot traffic anyway. And we have this outbuilding and we started a drop-off point. And then I'm looking at all these jars thinking, I've always thought it would be fun to make candles out of this. And I called all my vendors, made a candle, sent them a picture and said, hey, are you cool if I leave all your information on here? Because I think it's really pretty cool. And everybody loved it. So then the idea for Wix, Wax, and Weed was born to have a female centric event where I had some powerful women, powerful female lawyers, farm owners stand up, tell their story about how they got into cannabis. And then we had some music, but spent the night smoking and making candles out of recycled jars, which was brilliant. And everyone loved it and really wanted to be part of it. Now, that really snowballed because what we were able to do with the help of actually Brian Mathis from Mount Baker Gardens, who I have to say thank you for this. He got a hold of Terpene Transit, told him what I was up to, said she needs help. She can't, that's big.
Yeah.
They agreed that as soon as I get this ball rolling, Taylor, they will pick up all the jars for me from all the participating locations in Washington, and they will do that free of charge until it becomes a profitable. And then they're only asking for me to cover costs if it,
Right.
literally told me they would, jump on board with this project. And we even have our first retailer who is working directly with us, which is Destination Highway 420 over in Bremerton. Teddy and those guys, as soon as they heard it, put up a bin, and they have been just collecting jars upon jars upon jars for us. So it spread very quickly to the point where we formed a nonprofit, and we're right now just trying to get that all tied up so that we can maybe raise some money and do a center where we can have these jars brought and actually washed and redistributed to the industry so that they can sell you weed in recycled jars.
That is so amazing. I literally have probably like 40 jars on top of my fridge right now because I'm one of those people. I'm like, no, like I would love to make candles out of them, And so I just like shove them up here. And I'm just like, I have
I'm
so
telling
many.
you, nobody wants to throw them away because it feels wrong. It's
Right.
too much bulk in our landfills, and they're so useful. I mean, how many different things we could use these jars for? So
100%.
when the industry saw somebody actually making an effort to solve this problem, everyone jumped on board to a point where I had to go, hang on, give me a minute. Let me go
Gotta get ducks in a row
some
here.
plans and put some ducks in a row, dot some I's, cross some T's.
Yeah.
And Cultiva's help, of course, because they, they help me with everything to figure out how to form this nonprofit. And it's so exciting to think that we could maybe even take something like that nationwide as soon as we
Yeah.
get it dialed in. Yeah, it's
Yeah.
a big deal.
It's a huge deal. I
Yeah,
talk with customers almost every single day, and they're asking how they can recycle this. How they're just like I just throw it away, especially like with cartridges. They're like I just throw it in the trash, and they just think that it's just such a crazy concept that they can't bring me their jar back and
yeah,
have me refill it for them. Especially these people that get the same thing over and over and over again. It's their medicine. Why can't they just go to the bulk bins at Fred Meyer or QFC or whatever and fill up their jar, with their CBD flower, like it's crazy to me. So I love everything that you are doing. I respect you so much, and I
thank
am
you.
so happy that you sat down with me today and that we were able to talk about all of this, because I think it is so crucial and so important, the things that you are working on for this industry.
Thank you.
So I just want to leave the table open now for you to plug yourself and where people can follow you, follow Puff and Chill, follow 421 Love. Like, where can people enter your world and see all these things and know what you're up to and what you're doing?
Well, I would say Instagram would be the best place to see what we're up to, and that's mama.t.endeavors.
Hmm.
Also, VPS Packaging is the other company that my boss owns, and that's going to be vapeproductsystems.com. We're working on building that to be a bigger website. And then, of course, Lynnwood Puff and Chill on Instagram, and also our website at puffandchill.com. You can see everything we've got on our menu. I actually kept quite up to date with lovely pictures and all of that. But also, you should know that candle making situation, we are setting up a permanent candle therapy station in Chinatown in Seattle, where we work on a pretty daily basis, where the industry will be able to come, not only bring their jars, but make their own candles and, you know, um, just take a break.
Yeah.
It's going to be really good.
Once that is up and running and swinging, holla
I'll
at
let
your
you know.
girl,
Yes, ma'am.
because I am trying to make some candles.
Oh, I got you. I got you. Give me about 30 days and we'll have a spot for you.
That sounds beautiful.
Thank you so much for having me.
For
I just,
real.
you guys are so special to me. Respect My Region really, like I said, y'all introduced me to everybody and you fast tracked me to getting to know a lot of people. And I appreciate y'all for everything.
And you are flourishing, and it is so beautiful to see, and I cannot wait until I can hug you and see you, and we can smoke in person and catch up for real. But it has been amazing talking to you today, and I really appreciate you taking the time to talk with us for the Higher Women podcast. So,
You,
and
Taylor.
for supporting the North American Weed Tour, which we have going on the rest of the year. We still have a few more months of this, so we got lots of conversations, lots of things, lots of weed to smoke
Oh,
and
I'm
talk
very
about.
good. Well, I'm in
Yeah.
Seattle when I'm not traveling around the world, like a crazy person. I'm in Chinatown. Come see me. We'll burn one. I would love to catch up and give you a big old hug.
Yes, absolutely. So
All
thank y'all for tuning into this episode, and I will see y'all next Thursday at 3:30 again for another lovely episode of the Higher Women podcast. So thank
right.
y'all, and we'll see you later.